Hello and welcome to Female Cricket Live. The fourth match of the 12th edition of ICC Women's Cricket World Cup was played today between India and Pakistan. What an exciting contest that was! India, winning the toss, elected to bat first and they posted 244 for 7 in their full quota of 50 overs, thanks to triple half centuries from Smriti Mandhana, Pooja Vastrakar, and Sneh Rana. In reply, Pakistan scored 137 as they were all out in 43 overs. Pakistan lost the match by 107 runs as they were bundled out for 137. In terms of bowling, for India, it was Rajeshwari Gaikwad who was the pick of the bowlers as she wreaked havoc with the ball, picking up 4 wickets for 31 runs in a full quota of 10 overs. So this is in brief what happened between India and Pakistan today. Now all eyes will be on the next match that is going to be played tomorrow, which is going to be between hosts New Zealand and Bangladesh. So both these teams have lost their first match and they'll be definitely hoping that they regain the winning momentum going into this World Cup. So the match between Bangladesh and New Zealand will be played at the University Oval in Dunedin and the match will start at 3:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time. You can catch all the live action on Star Sports and Disney Plus Hotstar. So to talk more about this match between New Zealand and Bangladesh, I have with me Urvi Shah and Dhanush Lavanya. So Urvi Shah is a mental health facilitator and is pursuing her master's in sports psychology. She's also an avid cricket follower and runs her own blog called Beyond the Matches. And Dhanush Lavanya is a content writer at Female Cricket. So I welcome both of you to Female Cricket Live.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Great. So Dhanush, starting with you, of course, New Zealand and Bangladesh tomorrow. Both the teams have lost their previous matches. So what do you think will they be thinking going into the match tomorrow?
I guess they have to, New Zealand specifically, have to consider it as a bad dream and just move on. Because after all, they were in the game for 49 overs and they had a chance to win throughout that match. But unfortunately, Deandra Doughton did that outstanding last over. It was like a one of a kind situation. Like it's similar to like how Hardik Pandya did a final over against Bangladesh in 2016 World Cup, and it is similar to that standards. And they shouldn't be much disappointed with the performance because they were pretty much okay. Sophie Devine must be really happy because after 4 years she scored her first century, and the rest of the side, the top four, they are extremely good. And I just hope that they will step up and play their perfect game. And they are playing against Bangladesh, who are playing their second World Cup match. And I just feel that they have to be making sure their basics are correct, and everything will fall into place by itself.
Okay. So, Urvi, you being a mental health facilitator and, of course, pursuing your master's in sports psychology, we all know that Indian women's cricket team is carrying, sports psychologist with them, Dr. Mugdha Bavre, and this is, I think, for the first time that Indian women's cricket team is having a sports psychologist on board. So, how important do you think is the role of a sports psychologist? Because from a layman's perspective, if I see, just to give you a small example, Harmanpreet Kaur was not in best of international form, we can say. She was good in WBBL, not in the good form in the international terms. But that break in the fourth ODI that she got against New Zealand, then she came back in the fifth ODI and she scored a half century. Then in the warm up matches, she had one century to her name. So, how important is this role of a sports psychologist?
Yeah, so firstly, I'm very happy that they have now uh, accommodated a space for a sports psychologist in the team. And I remember everyone in their post match interviews and everywhere they have mentioned that it is important for a sports psychologist to be with us to help us around and everything. So I feel from the very little knowledge that I have about sports psychology, it is very important. And I feel if it's there from the grassroots level, it really helps the player build. And coming back to how it helps the Indian team, it is more about working with them intensively uh, in and out of the field. It is not just about what you do on field and how they are performing on field, because most of the work happens off the field. Most of the processing of how the game has been, how the game has to be, happens off the field. So like to enhance their performance, to help them perform better under pressure, as we all talk about, like oh, this player did not do well under pressure, or he just gives up under pressure, or she just gives up under pressure. So why is that happening, and how they can work through that? What are their mental skills that they can work on? And if a player experiences injury during a game, now let's take a World Cup. I, God forbid, no one has to go through any major injuries, but if it happens, so in the recovery process, also how to not have a lot of negative thoughts, how they can work through the recovery process, helping them get fit mentally, emotionally, and physically better. So all of these areas need to be addressed, and if there is something about the player that is bothering them personally, so working through that so that it does not affect their game when they're out on the field. And main is the team dynamics, understanding the team dynamics, understanding how every player has a different personality, how every player thinks differently, coming together on field and working from one common goal. So all of that just gets better if you have someone from the field giving you the backing, giving you the knowledge and the understanding about yourself and about the team. So all of that, you can see a little impact of it on individual games, individual players and their games. And I feel that through the series, the longer we go in the campaign, we will see the effect of it in a much more prominent way, because of the way they will be carrying themselves, their body language, their intent, the way they are committed to the game, they are motivated to play even after a loss. So all of that will actually play a vital role in their success in the tournament.
You have a question. I forgot to ask the question from my side. Urvi, since
Yeah.
the Team India's mindset is like how you talked about the whole mindset of players playing a major role, and how a sports psychologist has a big impact on players. New Zealand is a side who have lost their previous match by just three
Hmm.
runs. They had that match in their bag, and unfortunately, they lost it. What do you say as a sports psychologist to the whole team? How should their mindset be going into this game?
So if I have to say, I would say, like, take the positives from the game. It was just a little extra effort that did not come right. Yeah, and sometimes it's just like you have to see, if you have done everything right, then maybe the opposition just bettered you off on that day. So if they can do it, you can do it too. It was just 3 runs that was the difference between you winning or losing, right? So if you keep focusing on your strengths and keep performing the way you are doing, just put in a little extra effort and take that one step ahead, and maybe you can change the game for yourself. Like, don't be beaten down by the fact that you lost by 3 runs. Just see it in a way that, okay, it was just 3 runs, maybe the next game I'm going to make sure that this loss of 3 runs doesn't happen again. So I'll put in a little more effort as a player, and as a unit we will make sure that we are giving our 100%.
Absolutely. So mental health, as Urvi is rightly mentioning, it is very important off the field, of course, so that the players can do on the field much better. So Dhanush, of course, Bangladesh played the World Cup debut match against South Africa. So they had to chase 208 odd runs. Relatively, it was an easier target, we can say so. But Bangladesh playing their first ever World Cup match, there is obviously pressure. But I must say that they started really well. If I remember correctly, they had an opening partnership of 69 runs between Sharmeen Akhtar and Shamima Sultana, which was tremendous to watch. And probably at one point we were thinking that Bangladesh can maybe cross the line and give South Africa the defeat and actually cause an upset. But things didn't go Bangladesh's way. So, according to you, what would be the key takeaways from Bangladesh perspective with regards to the South Africa match and what they can do better going into the New Zealand match?
Well, I have to say, Bangladesh played their hearts out against South Africa. They were like all guns blazing in bowling, especially. And I find a lot of similarities between Bangladesh and Pakistan in this World Cup, because the bowling unit is really excellent in both the sides, like how we saw in Bangladesh as well. Farihat Risnat got 3 wickets, Ritu Moni got 2 wickets, and the opening bowler, uh, what is her name? Alam. She
Jahanar Alam.
she got 2 wickets in the opening spells and all those that. The 207 the score that they restricted South Africa, that was a huge win for them mentally, because they are going to be really happy because they restricted a really good team like South Africa. And as far as batting is concerned, they tried their best for sure. But I guess over a period of time in that 50 overs, they kind of lost their way, and unfortunately they got bowled out for 175. And batting is one thing that they have to make sure that there is more fine tuning done, because this team has the capacity to do some upsets to big teams like New Zealand, Australia, or England. And Urvi, as we were talking about Bangladesh, New Zealand is also a team who are playing in their home condition. And the first match loss against West Indies may not be something they expected. How will be the whole team's uh, comeback against Bangladesh, according to you?
I feel both the teams will go all guns blazing because they really want to make a difference. So for Bangladesh, like you mentioned, that they will make sure that they need to push their batting lineup a little. For New Zealand in their home conditions, losing a game, I don't think they will take it much on their heads, to be honest, because as a side, they are pretty strong on paper and on field. So I don't think that's gonna sit with them for long because they are the host and they know the conditions well, and they know that there are multiple games that they are going to play on home grounds. So they'll be like, okay, if this did not go our way, we are going to make sure that the next one does. And I feel that they did give their best, like the centuries, taking wickets time to time. So they were pretty much in the game. So I don't feel that's going to make a lot of difference. But somewhere, yeah, it will go. It will be sitting with some of the players that, yeah, maybe I didn't do enough. The dropped catches or like carelessly moving out of this crease and getting out. So all of this is going to stay with them. These are the things actually they will sit and think about instead of like losing a game on the home condition, because it's always the little things that the player does. It always stays with them, that maybe I should not have done that. Then the 3 runs would have been covered, or maybe I should have done this so we could have got one extra wicket and not let them play for long. So yeah, I think that is going to sit with them, and they will have to think on that, on how they are going to not let it affect them in the next game.
Absolutely, Urvi, as you rightly mentioned, that New Zealand actually looks a solid team on paper. Also, they are playing in their home conditions. And the last time when this team played the World Cup, it was in the year 2000, and we all know that New Zealand went on to win the World Cup. So they are definitely strong contenders for this coveted World Cup. And let us see how they perform going into the next matches, because they have suffered a defeat in the first match against West Indies. So it will be interesting to see how they go ahead. So, Urvi, let me ask you that New Zealand, if we can say they have good top four in their ranks. Susie Wade, Sophie Devine, of course, opening the batting for New Zealand. Then you have the experienced Amy Satterthwaite, who has more than 4,500 ODI runs. Then you have the upcoming all-rounder. I shouldn't say upcoming now, because though she's just 21 years of age, but she has had many records to her name. The unbeaten double century against Ireland, Amelia Kerr. She's also a wonderful leg spinner. So, how do you think the Bangladeshi bowling attack, which is relatively inexperienced, we can say, control these top four of New Zealand?
So, as far as I know from what I saw in the last game, Bangladesh pretty much kept a restriction on SA in the initial overs, like around 19 or 19.5 something. They had around 67, 69 runs. So they pretty much kept them restricted, not letting them go beyond 100 and like scoring big boundaries. So if they keep doing that consistently, like keep their lines and lengths tight, they have like really good slow bowlers if they use them well, if they use their spin well, even if it's inexperienced. It's all about how you use it, right? It's all about not letting the numbers of the top four affect your game. So if they keep that in mind, I'm pretty sure they can do it again. They can restrict the top four, and maybe the spin department can come in and just pick up the wickets, because if the Pacers are doing that, if they are not letting them score runs, they are going to go behind the spinners, and maybe they can then turn the game towards themselves. So I'm looking forward to how tactically they are going to play this one, because it's going to be very challenging to get anyone from the top four out back to the dugout. It's going to be very difficult, and it will be a good challenge for Bangladesh to test their bowling unit again.
Yeah, absolutely. Bangladesh will be having a lot of big task on their hand for sure, because they can take inspiration from the West Indies bowling unit, because they were able to handle the pressure against New Zealand and they won the match by 3 runs. Julie, I have to say one thing which I saw in the first match was in the bowling of New Zealand. There weren't any situations which looked like they were posing a threat on West Indian batsmen. Haley Matthews was cruising like anything. She wasn't having any issues in her batting throughout that 50 overs. And that 117 that she did was extremely good and it was excellent. Never she looked like she was going to get out or anything. But as far as the bowling of New Zealand is concerned, that 50 overs, they never posed any threat. There was Leah Tahuhu who took 3 wickets up front, but no one else, Amelia Kerr or what is that? Hannah Rowe or
Hannah,
any other
really
or
good.
Jessica or any of these people didn't pose any threat in the middle overs, and that is why West Indies were able to score 259. So, how big of a challenge for the bowlers in the upcoming matches is going to be for New Zealand?
Yes. So, talking about the New Zealand West Indies match, of course, Dhanush, as you rightly mentioned, that they did not look threatening at all. Apart from, of course, Leah Tahuhu, who picked up 3 wickets. But if we remember correctly, in the first 2 overs that Tahuhu bowled, she I think went for 24 odd runs. Doughton simply smashed her all around the park, and the first ball of the World Cup was a boundary, thanks to Deandra Doughton. And in the same over, she scored 3 other boundaries in Leah Tahuhu's over. So yes, so somehow looking at the West Indian batting, I felt that they were in complete T20 mode. They were trying to smack the ball all around the park, and the New Zealand bowling did not look threatening, and they were allowing the West Indian batters to score freely of them. And if I have to say that Leah Tahu picked up 3 wickets, I would rather give credit to rather not credit, but maybe I would say that it was because of West Indian batters' mistake that she could get the wickets. It was not like she was trying to get the wickets, but because they committed errors on their part, she was able to get those wickets. But yes, going into the matches up next, it will be challenging for the New Zealand bowlers to bowl well. Leah Tahu will have to step up her game. She has been an experienced campaigner for New Zealand over the years. This is not her first World Cup that she's playing. Jess Kerr, yes, understandably, this is her first World Cup. Amelia Kerr, of course, first World Cup. But Tahuhu has to step up, and of course, Sophie Devine, who has been the captain of New Zealand, she has to maybe just tell her bowlers that we are the hosts. We have a strong chance of making it to the World Cup finals, and we have to play like champions. So probably this could be a pep talk that Sophie Devine can give her players. So this is what I feel. But yes, on paper the bowling looks pretty good. They have the experience of Tahuhu, Amelia Kerr, who's in good form. She looks also good. But yes, they need to bowl more consistently and do not allow the opposition batters to score freely of them. Right. So talking about New Zealand's bowling, Dhanush, I would like to ask you that Amelia Kerr, young leg spinner, but then they have Fran Jonas, just 17-year-old. So according to you, and of course she's of course the youngest player who's playing the World Cup. So what do you think should Fran Jonas try to do going into this World Cup? Should she look it from just a learning perspective, or she should apply herself more and contribute more for the team?
Well, she's just 17 years old is a big thing, right? At that age, she's debuting for the team in the World Cup, and it's just a big moment for the 17-year-old for Farhan Jonas. But the thing is, this is World Cup. Over a period of time, she has to show her capacity, she has to show her maturity, and she has to make sure that she gives her best from her side. This is a seven match. There are 7 matches in this in the league stage, right? So there are 6 as the first match is done. I will see. I just expect her to step up in the couple of games, because if she doesn't, because last game she was going for boundaries pretty well, and she had a high economy rate and she conceded a lot of runs. So maybe a couple of games is what New Zealand may give her, and if she doesn't pick up wickets or step up, they have very good replacements in Rosemary Mayer and Frankie McKay, who have been excellent. They are really good. They are experienced players, and I just want to see this 17-year-old step up and take those big wickets. She's very new into the international circuit as well. She had just played 2 matches before the World Cup, so it will take time. The first match you might you might say, okay, it's the first match. You might have the nerves and all this stuff, but going forward, she has to step up in the upcoming games. Yeah, going forward, Urvi, I had to talk about how the whole Bangladesh team is going to be in this match. They because they had a very good start. We talked a lot about their performance. They lost the match by just 32 runs against South Africa, but they are playing New Zealand. They are really good, and they have to be making sure that every single department that they are playing at their best. So what I just want to say how the whole team's mindset is going to be in this match.
I would not be able to tell you how the whole team would think, but I can tell you how the team should think instead is to play freely. I feel a lot of players will end up thinking that, oh, they are the better side, they are like the top three, and they are like full experience, they have won the World Cup once, and this and that. But don't let it come to you, right? So if you let it come to you, you are not going to play your best game, and if you don't play your best game, you're going to keep making mistakes. The missed runouts, the missed catches, the dropped opportunities, everything is going to come into picture, and then you will keep thinking why it is happening. So I feel Bangladesh has nothing to lose here. So if they keep thinking that, okay, maybe if we lose, we lost our chance to World Cup and this and that, instead of that, they can just play freely,
Yeah, this is
as
their
freely
first
as they
World Cup
can. They
as well.
just, yeah, they just go out, play confidently, just believe in your shots. The main thing is, if you are questioning your own shot while batting, then, or you're anticipating it, you're going to make a mistake. So instead of that, you can just be confident, just know that, okay, I got this, I can do this. And that can actually change the whole game. If 11 players are going to think in the same manner, that I can do this, there's nothing going to stop me here. So I feel that is what a team should be thinking about, instead of saying that, oh, New Zealand is a better opposition, they are like very tight and stuff. They are just an opposition. They know the same skills as we do. They just, the difference is about the experience, right? So
Yes,
maybe we can just keep giving a tough fight like we did in the previous game, and just look at our mistakes and take lessons from it, instead of just saying that, okay, how can we fix that? Instead of that, just take the mistake, be like, okay, I have to make sure that this doesn't happen, so I will do this instead. So
yes.
maybe that is going to help them get themselves back in the game, and maybe reduce the margin of losses and get over the line soon.
Yeah.
Right. So when I was just reading about New Zealand and Bangladesh, whether they have played any ODIs against each other or no, I was surprised, and even I'm sure you must be surprised that they have not played a single ODI against each other, though they have just one T20I against each other, which New Zealand have won. So Urvi, what do you think? So there's something called as the beginner's luck, right? So Bangladesh making their World Cup debut, maybe beginner's luck for them. First match didn't go their way. Maybe it could have gone, but going into the match against New Zealand, do you think they'll enjoy this beginner's luck? And of course, given the fact that they'll be playing at University Oval in Dunedin, the earlier match also, which they played against South Africa, they played in Dunedin, the same venue. So do you think that will be advantageous to Bangladesh?
Advantages, I think in a way it would be just to feel comfortable in the surrounding, the same environment, the same playing area. So they'll be happy being there. Beginners luck, I can't really put a point on it whether it will be in their favor or not, but definitely they are going to try their best. They are going to make sure that they give a tough fight. If not win, they will be looking for a tough fight, not just let someone win just like that, because they have come playing matches and fighting their way through to the World Cup, right? So they know that their journey has been a tough one. So I don't think they are going to think of it that way. And if they are, they better just buckle up and ride on the beginner's luck, man. They really need to do that, so that if it happens once, they'll be very confident and be like, okay, you know what? Next game, I got this. I'm going for it. So they will take confidence from that one. So if it works, it's going to help them boost their confidence, and if it doesn't, it's just a game for them, and they'll just keep moving and keep fighting hard for the upcoming ones.
Well, Urvi, I feel that the beginners' luck may not work for Bangladesh in the match against New Zealand. I hope so because, see, Julie, because I'm saying this because New Zealand they started
Hmm.
off the tournament with a defeat against West Indies, which was unexpected, and if they suffer another upset in the hands of Bangladesh, it is going to become tough for them. Two losses in the beginning itself, and they have five matches against big teams. There is India, there is Australia, there is England. there is South Africa, and there is one more team which Pakistan. So there, after this match, they are going to play against India on 10th of March, and it's going to be tough going forward for New Zealand. And I truly feel that they have to make sure that they win this game in a big fashion, not just win this game, but have to make a statement that we are the hosts here and we are the ones who rule this place. That is what I feel. As far as Bangladesh is concerned, the bowling unit is something that I really, really liked. Fariha Trisna was someone that I was impressed because even in the warm ups she took like 7 wickets if I'm not wrong, and now in the first match she took 3 wickets and she got valuable support from Ritu Moni and other players. Ritu Moni and Fariha Trisna is what I see as the two players going into this match because those two girls have performed really well against South Africa. Any other names from your side, Julie, from Bangladesh?
With respect to bowling, I would be looking at Nahida Akhtar, the young left-arm spinner, who was impressive in the Zimbabwe series, which we mentioned earlier in our earlier conversation. She picked up 11 wickets and probably helped Bangladesh to clean sweep Zimbabwe. So she is the one bowler that I'll be looking at, though she went wicketless in her first match against South Africa. But that does not speak about the immense talent that this wily left-arm spinner possesses. And of course, the other name is going to be of veteran Rumana Ahmed. She has been a former captain of Bangladesh as well, and of course, she is the leading wicket taker and leading run getter of Bangladesh in the ODI format. So I'll be looking at these two players, and especially Rumana Ahmed, of course, with the bat coming in at the middle order, she would be required to consolidate the innings if the need be, and maybe the other batters can play around her. There is also Fargana Hope, which who missed out scoring against South Africa. She had a half century in the warm-up game, so I was surprised to see her missing out. Maybe it was just the World Cup pressure that could have got to Fargana. So these are some of the players. So maybe in short, Fargana Hoke in batting, Ruman Ahmed with both bat and ball, and Nahida Akhtar with ball, and of course Jahanara Alam who will be opening the bowling for Bangladesh. And as you mentioned about Fariha Trisna, the young left arm seamer, she's just 19 years of age, but she has shown some immense maturity, we can say, in the first match that she played against South Africa. The way she was trying to get the ball into the right-handers, it was simply amazing to watch. She was also making good use of the breeze and making use of the conditions as well. And also, if we look at tomorrow's forecast, rain is predicted. Cloudy conditions are going to be there. So maybe if Bangladesh, wins the toss, they may elect to bowl first and probably try to make optimum use of the conditions in hand.
Yeah,
So
they have three
finally,
really good fast bowlers in them.
absolutely, absolutely. So just looking forward for an exciting game of cricket tomorrow between New Zealand and Bangladesh. I wanted to go maybe all the way down the wire, and I'm sure you both will be also hoping the same. So maybe if we can have some predictions, Urvi, what do you think will happen in tomorrow's game? Who's going to be the winner, and maybe if you can predict the score that will be posted.
I don't know. I think around 200 to 15 if Bangladesh is batting first, and around I think 250 something if New Zealand is batting first. And I think New Zealand definitely has an upper hand here, so I'm rooting for New Zealand to get this one. Although I know somewhere I want Bangladesh to just surprise me and be like, you know what, we are just here in the World Cup to play, so don't underestimate us. But from where I see, from how I uh, watch them, I feel that New Zealand is going to get over the line tomorrow.
Yeah, I will also
And
say the same because New Zealand is really the side who is going to come here to make a big statement. I will go out and say that because they have to do it because that loss is something that is going to be in on their name like a red dot in a white canvas. So unfortunately, that loss they can't do anything with it. But this time they can announce themselves like a big side and they can make a statement for sure. And aside from that, I feel like Bangladesh is not a side that you have to take lightly because that
Yeah,
side is extremely good. They play their hearts out like really really good. I was like 207 all out again for South Africa. I was pretty much impressed with that. And they like the men's team, the Bangladesh men's team, which can make which can upset big teams like they have done against India and other teams. This team also has that capacity to do, is what I feel. And we are going to see one or two victories from Bangladesh side in this World Cup in the 7 matches that they're going to play, but not tomorrow, is what I'll say.
definitely.
of course, and can't agree more with both of you that Bangladesh definitely fought their heart out in the match against South Africa. And if we remember the kind of fielding that they were doing, apart from a few misfields, there were some spectacular catches that they took, and they were actually very lively on the field, and it was very interesting to see so much cheer from the wicket keeper as well. Of course, captain Nigar Sultana, she being the wicket keeper. All right, so it was amazing talking to you about the New Zealand and Bangladesh game that is going to be played tomorrow on 7th of March, and the match will start at 3:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time, just a few hours away, more than 6 hours away from here. So yes, for all the viewers and fans, do tune in to catch all the live action on Star Sports and Disney Plus Hotstar. The match between Bangladesh and New Zealand will be played at University Oval in Dunedin. It will start at 3:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time. And as I mentioned earlier, you can catch all the live action on Star Sports and Disney Plus Hotstar. Thank you, Dhanush. Thank you, Urvi, for joining this show and talking to us. Thank you to all the viewers and fans for watching. And we'll be back again tomorrow at 8 p.m. to preview the match that will be played on March 8th. And yes, it is going to be an exciting one. It is going to be between Australia and Pakistan. So we'll be back again tomorrow at 8 p.m. to preview the match between Australia and Pakistan. So do send in your questions using hashtag Female Cricket Live and join the conversation tomorrow at 8 p.m. Thank you.